Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Friday where we are reckless as always and so reckless that there's nobody here except me. Anan is actually going to be out of action. Kazi should be joining us shortly, so we'll talk a bit about the press conference from Slot today. Not a lot really, but we'll touch up on a couple of things. And I did have a couple of graphics to see what the boys think about it as well. So how are we feeling? So Aziz here, Alan in the audience. Good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, 2 days away, hopefully, from a title. I think the Palace results makes it even more likely should something go wrong. I guess the only worry that I would have, first of all, you're going to face a Spurs side that's rotated due to the Europa game coming up. They're going to rest people. And I think, when we were talking to Jake on Tuesday, he kind of was expecting something similar to what they did the weekend before, where it was like almost like half, like half the starters were there. And then those guys came out, the other ones came in. So everybody got like 45 minutes, kind of a 45 to 60 minutes kind of a deal. So it'll probably be something similar to that. But that stuff sometimes backfires too, right? Because you're not as used to the opponent. And but you would think the environment at Anfield, the anticipation and stuff like that would be like Anfield will be rocking for this because they would want to celebrate this after a win, I would think. So while I'm concerned that there could be when does the party start kind of a game in the beginning, I'm really hoping, ultimately we are the better squad. Even if they have their starters, we're the better squad. And honestly, really how they play really suits us extremely well, as we have seen from the games in the past this season. Yeah, I know we lost to them in one of the cup games, but really, first of all, that was like a brutal call missed in the first place that they should not have been there. And we missed so many chances that game that we should have really put it away. So I would have thought that we would win anyway. It's almost like it makes it even weirder that they're not playing their starters. It's oddly, I would be a lot more confident if they had started their guys as opposed to the rotation over here. And Kazi, speaking of rotation, Kazi joins us. What's up, man? How's it going?
I'll be honest with you. It's very rare I'm late. I will say that, Tim. Number two, I completely forgot. I'll be honest. There's no point in lying. Like I was doing something like saving the world. No, I just forgot. And I'm just laying in bed like, oh shit, yeah, I've got to do this.
Well, we knew you were not saving the world. That was never like one of the things we considered. We're like, I wonder if he's saving the world.
Hey, that's how it is. That's what I think of myself in my dreams. Yeah. There we go. How are you, brother?
Not bad. Just getting ready for this action over here. That's what I was going to like. A couple of things to ask you, I guess. I mean, you would think, like I say, because they're rotating and it's kind of like a weird match, is what makes it odd to me. If this was like, if we needed the 3 points, right, and if they were starting their regulars and stuff, somehow I would be a lot more confident than I am now. It feels like there's so many other odd variables in the background that can affect how this game is going to be played out.
Yeah, I suppose in the sense of just what the game is. If you're playing Liverpool v Spurs, I don't think you could handpick a better team to play at home. In that aspect, there is that like Postecoglou's going to come out and play his style of football because he doesn't change really, which is his high line kind of thing.
He did in the cup a little bit, didn't he, against us though? Like the second leg.
He did I watched the Frankfurt game away where he just went a bit more long ball. But when I say a bit more long ball, it was probably just like a normal way of playing footy. Like he went long sometimes, then went, then did this passing sometimes, like a normal way of playing. But I don't expect him to change much because he probably wants to get on the ball a lot more against Bodo Glimt in the semi. So I don't expect him to go, you're going to play this style against Liverpool, then this style 4 days later in the semi-final. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that works.
Yeah.
In terms of resting players and bringing players back, I think he's had enough injuries where I don't think it's going to be as much rotation as what people think. I think he might do 3 or 4, but I don't think it's going to be many because I think he needs to get 90s into some players ready for the semi-final. I think it's that stage. It's a bit like when Bukayo Saka's playing a lot of the league games for Arsenal now, and it's like, yeah, because he's got to build his fitness up.
Yeah.
He has to, so there is that as well. But I'm excited, fella, in terms of the game at least. I don't think you could handpick a better scenario for Liverpool to be in that aspect. this is what you work hard for all season, is to get this moment. And I'm just glad we're having this moment, and you know what I mean, in terms of winning it on the pitch. I'm glad at Anfield. It's just like a dream moment because, you know, I know I've made some kind of controversial comments in the Discord, which I'm happy to explain about being boring. But but the thought of winning on a Wednesday night because Crystal Palace beat Arsenal, it's just a bit.
I was scared, man. It looked like it for a second towards the end, didn't it?
I'm saying, bro, and it's like I just don't want. I don't want those moments in my football where we're winning it on a Wednesday, because Crystal Palace beat Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? I just don't. I don't want to win. I don't want to win big trophies like that. And I know. And again, I don't mind explaining it. The only 2 league titles I've ever seen Liverpool win has been Liverpool just dominating everyone. Of course, COVID, we don't get the let off that we want to because of what, you know, it's COVID. And then this season, I was just like, don't make us fucking win on a Wednesday night when we're not even playing and we have to see all the videos again with them in a hotel or in the training ground celebrating. It's just like, I don't want to see that in my footy. I want to see Liverpool winning on the pitch. I want to see.
They did watch it together too, because they didn't want to be. I mean, last time they watched it together, it was the Chelsea game, right? But I mean, they almost had to because it was COVID times anyway. Like, we're together anyway, might as well watch it together, kind of video more than anything else. This is kind of different. I found it actually interesting that they did watch it together because, you know, you never know when you're going to be crowned champions. And I'm sure, I know, even then, they were celebrating like crazy after that Chelsea game, even though it was just a matter of time. So it's kind of odd. I will actually, you know what? I will throw the Discord invite right here if you want to join us. It can be an unforgiving place where there's a lot of receipts being taken and you can say one thing like Kazi and hear about it for like 3 weeks straight. To clarify, and then so, you know, kind of like tell the story to the ones who are not yet in Discord, but you should just hop on just for the comedy alone. You basically refer to it as boring was the word that was used, and that's, you've heard it 1,000 times since because you used that word, mainly due to it's not one of these seasons where you got to win the last game to crown it, you know, to be champions and stuff like that. It's almost has been the last time we won it as well. It's been more of like a when and not if. So we're just like, so when are we? This week? Next week? When is this? So I knew exactly what you were saying, but obviously when you use the word boring, everybody was all over you.
I just, when I'm in the footy, when I'm into my footy, Tim, I like a bit of jeopardy in my football. I like a bit of drama. I like that. And Liverpool, let's be quite frank here. Liverpool were probably guaranteed to win the league after beating City away in February. As soon as we went to City away in February, it felt like it was done anyway. I think Liverpool were never going to drop from this point. And I'm using the analogy of it's a bit boring because it's like, well, if we don't win it against Spurs, just win it next week.
Yes, exactly.
So, no, if we don't win it then, we'll just win it the week after. So either way, we're going to win the league. Liverpool will. I would like to say Liverpool are going to pick up 1 point in the next 5 games or 6 games to kind of, do you know what I mean, and have that moment. And yeah, maybe because there hasn't been a proper title race, but I can only judge this off the first 2 titles that I've seen because I wasn't alive. And all I meant was it's been boring because I just prefer cup finals. I prefer the jeopardy of all or nothing on the line that day. You have to win this football match. I say this all the time with the League Cup final, and the League Cup kind of gets a bit degraded, let's say. When Virgil van Dijk headed it, we could have won literally the World Cup that day when Virgil van Dijk put that header in. If the let-off that I had, it was just next level. I didn't care what the trophy was because we scored. When Kelleher, you know, scores his pen and Kepa misses, I could have been anywhere in the world. You see the fans in the ground.
Yeah,
that let off. It doesn't matter if you win in the league or the League Cup at that time, at that moment. And I just feel like sometimes you miss those moments in terms of like the league titles with him. We had a moment in January with Darwin against Brentford. It felt massive. It felt like we had that moment. But I just don't like the idea of winning the league at home when we're sitting on the couch. It just doesn't feel. You've won one of the biggest trophies that you can ever win in your whole career as the Premier League. Where did you win it? I was sitting at home with the missus. I got my stuff dressed and then went out and met the lads. Like, that's what a player's going to do, not me. That's what a player's doing. A player's sitting there with his missus going, oh, yeah, we've won it now, haven't we? I might as well get out and, you know, see what the lads are doing. No, you want that big fucking massive let-off of Endo smashing one in from 30 yards in the cop end on the 95th minute.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. There is not. I mean, obviously, throughout the season, there are moments like that. But I know what you mean in terms of like the. I mean, that's the cup versus league in most cases, right?
Of course.
But when we won it, it almost feels like yes, we have won it easily. I know about the City game. I know what you mean. Like when we won the City game, that was
Thought
probably
it was
one of
overtime.
the holy shit, this is happening kind of moments.
Yeah.
But I do look. I would rather not have the drama. Partially, like I wouldn't, and my cardiologist wouldn't want me to have that drama. But I do understand what you mean in terms of there is not as much of a. I watched the last 2 to 3 games leaning back, and that just says a lot by itself. Even the dogs are like, "This is not a Liverpool game or something," because
Yeah.
you're just too relaxed. Are we just watching just a regular footy game and not like a Liverpool game? Because you're really leaning back, chilling, kind of a thing. So I think that's the thing, because like goes back to what you're saying. It's going to be like that on Sunday, where I mean, if it's not today, it'll be next week, I guess. I think the last 2 to 3 weeks has been like that for me. Even the Fulham game, the West Ham game. Normally, I start getting a little nervous right before kickoff and stuff like that. And the bigger the game is, the longer that period is. Like if we're playing United or something like that. Like your Everton, kind of like stomach pains and cramps starting earlier than, you know what I mean? Like you get a little bit like the game's nerves. I have not had that the last 2, 3 games, I think. But I mean, hey man, you put yourself in that situation at the end of the day.
It's not like like a negative on the team or anything like that. Far from it. The team have done their job,
Yeah.
and they're entitled to have this whatever they that's what they've worked hard for. It's not their fault that Arsenal have been garbage. It's you know what I mean. That's not their fault. That doesn't take anything away from what these lads have done. That's just how I feel. That's why it's not like, oh, will the league just suffice? Of course it will just suffice. It's a tremendous achievement of what the lads are going to do. It's an amazing thing. I just like in my football a bit more drama, a bit more things on the line, instead of just sitting back going, well, don't win it this week, win it next week. Or don't worry, because Arsenal won't win their next game anyway.
Yeah,
So
it's more on like Arsenal and City on those guys, not to
Also,
give us that, as opposed to us, not doing.
but
I
even
mean, I was going to show you this because I mean it's the bad photo and everything, but I thought that was because the illusion is, and we've been on this too. I mean, we've said it too. We felt like it too, but we are kind of like stumbling across the line. Whereas really the only main stumble happens in the League Cup final and obviously the Champions League. But you look at these stats, the first 16 games and the last 17 games, that's mighty freaking close. That form actually has been consistent. Is it just those other games, or like, chasing the quad and the treble and all that kind of stuff throwing us off? Because let's face it, even in regular Liverpool fans, without looking at that, it feels like the learners, we're not really finishing in style, even though, I mean, we're finishing how we started. If you look at it, look at those numbers.
It was surprising to me when I kind of seen those stats as well, because I felt like we're very efficient. Tim, we're so efficient, it's a joke. Like I said, didn't watch a game and go, I know we could do with this type of number 10, and we don't really look at it today. Oh, Liverpool's good. And I'm like, where's that come from? Do you know what I mean? And that's what it feels like sometimes when you watch the game, which is a credit to them, by the way. It is a credit. I just feel like because we haven't had, I don't know when the last 17 games have started from, by the way, in the league. I don't know when that has been or whatever it is, or if that's all comps, I don't know. But it felt like we haven't had a big win in a while. I can't remember the last time we won by 3 clear goals. I think it was Spurs in the League Cup in February, but I don't count that.
Yeah, it hasn't been a season. Who was saying
we beat West Ham away?
About, like, it hasn't been as comfortable. And I think there was like something I was watching. It was like a YouTube video for like the goals or something like that so far. But I think it was done a couple of months ago. So it went up to the 25th week. And you're looking at those games, really, there's maybe 2 or 3 games, United away. I think there was a Villa game. But there's only like 2 or 3 games where you were like, this is kind of comfortable. They're all been tight, even when comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, the last big one I remember in the league is West Ham away in December. We beat them 5-0 away in the league. That was the last big one I felt like. And maybe we feel less comfortable in the games because we know what's on the line of Liverpool winning the league. But probably if we actually watch the game back in hindsight, after the result and watch the 490 back and go, now we were under no drama here. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was like no, we weren't getting, but we just know because the games are kind of tight 1-0s and 2-1s or whatever they are. We probably feel a bit more anxiety as well because of the position that we're in. So I don't know. It's surprising. And the one thing I did notice on those stats was the drop off a little bit in the running. I think it was a kilometre.
Yeah, it's like just a kilometre, which is
just a
not a lot,
kilometre.
really.
There's also a part of this though, Tim, where I think there might be a part where the lads are managing their own minutes in the game and managing the running as well. A little bit of that. The shots taken is surprising. The shots faced is surprising. But again, it's credit to the lads. It really is. Do you know what I mean? Again, I was surprised by the stats. I really was. But it's the lads have earned this moment, and this is the moment where
Look, we've been on the opposite side, right? You would watch City when you needed City to lose points, and it would be a 2-0 game. But you would watch, and like City would control the game, have the ball and stuff, and you had no hope watching almost. Even though it was 1-0, you were like, you never know. You were like, they can't even get to the ball. Like, whoever they were playing, Palace or whatever, that somebody you needed the points from. It was almost like a boring watch because you were like, they can't even get to the ball. City's going to win this again kind of a thing. So we almost like become that team. So like you're saying, if it's a neutral watching our game, they might be saying Liverpool is winning freaking comfortably again. We obviously look at it through a different lens.
Exactly, yeah. And like I always felt against Leicester that the goal was coming. I was like, we're definitely going to score. No matter what, we will score a goal here. Because we were peppering them really, especially in the second half. Before we were a lot better in the second half, personally, in terms of how we used the ball. And maybe a neutral is looking at our games going, like, these are so comfortable in the game. Like, it felt like, for example, West Ham scored, and I was like, Liverpool just go up the end and score here. We'll just score. Yeah. And Liverpool went up the other end and scored. And I just felt like that was always going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like the frustration, I think, comes from one word, Tim. I think there's a balance here of what we've been used to under Klopp for 9 years, where if Liverpool are that dominant in the first half against West Ham, Liverpool win 3-0 in the first half. Liverpool turn this into a non-contest and go, this isn't your day. So this is a different team. It's a different manager. We have different expectations of how someone should be playing football. But there's no right or wrong way to win games of footy. You just got to win games of footy. It doesn't matter how you do it. Do you know what I mean? You got Jose Mourinho as the Fenerbahce manager. There's no right or wrong way to win a game of footy. Do you know what I mean? You're probably figuring that out pretty damn quick. So as long as you win the game of footy at the end of the day, and that's what the manager's done, it's full credit to the lads. Listen, I'm super proud of them. Would I prefer to have a moment like City did against Villa to win the league title when you're 2-0 down? Of course. And that's what I like.
After the fact.
Of course. Yeah. After the fact. But it's like offering me a 4-0 will and a last minute winner. I'll take a last minute winner all day. Yeah. All day. But I
wouldn't take it in the beginning of the game if I told you, hey, you want to roll the dice on a last minute winner? Like, no, let's just freaking score.
Of course. If you could sign a note guaranteeing the last minute winner or guaranteeing a 4-0, I'll take the last minute winner. But would you roll the dice? Absolutely not. Give me the 4-0 win so I can sit here chilling out. But again, it is what it is. I just like me drama and me football. The reason why I did not want winning at home again. I want to see the lads on them. Do you know what I want, mate, more than anything? And I said this last night on the Thursday podcast. I want Mo Salah to have his moment. And the reason why I say that is you forget he scores the goal against Wolves when he thinks he's won the league, when Villa are winning 2-0. And he thinks he's done it. I want him to have his moment on the pitch. Because for everything that he's done for this club, and again, re-signing and all that kind of stuff, right, fella? I want him to have his moment on the pitch of Mo Salah standing there going, because let's be frank here again, he has dragged this team kicking and screaming to a league title on his back. He hasn't played well for 6 weeks. It was over 6 weeks ago. The league was literally over.
I feel like even that Leicester game, I felt like, I know it came late, but I felt like we played better that game than in some other games where we won by, when we won 2-0, like 3-1 or something like that. I thought they played extremely well. The goal just did not come.
They were frustrating. I thought they were a little bit frustrating in the first half. But then again, if Mo Salah's onside when he hits 2 posts in the 6th minute, Liverpool go on and win 5-0. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a pass that if you give Liverpool a goal in the first 10 against Leicester, Leicester heads just go down and get battered. But we gave them hope in the game. But Liverpool still, again, get the winner. But I thought Salah was good that game. But I agree with you. There's been moments in games where I think Liverpool have won 2-0. I don't think we played well at all. Yeah. And then But that's footy. Sometimes you get like PSG, for example, at home. I thought we played really well against PSG. I thought it was one of our best performances this season. Lost 1-0. It's
Doesn't
footy.
go on? Yeah. I mean,
It's footy.
and honestly, I was saying this on the panel show because we were talking about, there's a lot of like, and I think it's just like jealous banter. I think if somebody really looked at the numbers, I mean, this team can finish in like 90, 93 points or whatever. I mean, realistically, can get like 90 points. You would think like they would. I mean, there's a lot of banter in terms of, oh, it's not a great season, like stumbling across, which we just debunked looking at those numbers. I really feel like nobody has really pushed us in terms of this team could do better if there was somebody pushing it, right? After this, I'm going to do some work. And like, I just got to get done by 4 or 5 or whatever, right? So I'm going to do it at a certain pace. If there was like kind of like a pushing matter where Liverpool plays at 2 o'clock and I'm not going to get shit done, so I got to finish everything by 2, I would work faster probably to get the shit done. I feel like we get the same thing in terms of there is no Arsenal, City. Like we push City. If City did all those like 94 points and stuff like that, it was partially due to us constantly pushing them. We just did not have anybody. If there was somebody this year, I think pushing this team, like that West Ham game you're talking about, they score and you get to feel like they're like, okay, damn, it's like just put it into the next gear and then get going again. I just don't think we had that many moments in the season where we had to put it into another gear. So it was just kind of like coasting downhill, just not even giving gas. You're like, just let the hill do the work is what I feel like happened.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe that is a thing because we haven't had any chases or anything like that. Maybe we haven't had, I don't know, it just seemed a bit of a weird. It felt like we were a lot more attacking, but the stats tell me we weren't in the first half of the season to the second half. It just felt like we were a bit more gung-ho, and I'm not sure. But again, I look at the United game being a big highlight in terms of how well we played the United away, 3-0. But listen, I've also got to say Liverpool have rode the luck a few times, but you need to do that to win the league. You need to ride your luck now and then. Like, I've seen teams ride the luck all the time. I look at United at home. We rode our luck. Harry Maguire should score in the last kick of the game. Should score. Yep. You know what I mean? So there's moments like that as well. But I'm as much as like it's such a weird thing because it feels like the last of the Mohicans. This team. It feels like this is the last of this team. And we've dragged out the last dregs of this side before a rebuild's kind of coming a little bit. Or a restructure. I think the United probably something like that of how we want to play it. So I don't know, mate. I'm excited for the weekend in terms of just seeing everyone and kissing every single person in this bar, whether they like it or not. You're getting a big smooch and a big food. Singing the Watoro Endo song down people's ears. Guy, who the fuck is this person talking about? I'm begging the bar to open the boozer up for the Bournemouth United game at 5:30 in the morning, just so I can be hammered before Liverpool even kick off. I said last night, Tim, because it's Bournemouth United before Liverpool play Spurs, I'm banging to Bournemouth beating United 5-0, and I would take Liverpool doing them 1-1 just for that to happen. Just for that to happen. I'm into it. Honestly, 6 a.m. with a bottle of beer and a shot of Fireball just to warm me up. Watch Bournemouth batter United. It'll be hilarious.
Double Dutch. First Dutch manager, first Dutch captain to win the league. Really? I knew the Dutch captain. I didn't realize the Dutch manager as well.
Yeah, to win any English league, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think when you look back, even first of all, nobody cares, right? When you look at like the record books, like Matt was saying, nobody cares. Like even like Leicester's win, nobody goes back and says, I think we all remember, but it was still like, lightning in a bottle and everybody was down. You see how many points they won it with. But when you look back, this is going to be an era where it was like, I know I won't make it, but 2 decades from now, when people look back, it's going to be like, yeah, it was just City and Liverpool. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, on that season, City was down. Yeah. On that season, Liverpool was down. It's just going to be, it was City on Liverpool, man. I remember the 2020s.
Football, you're 100% correct, because football is always written by the victors. We don't break down seasons like that. Everyone just goes, oh, the United treble size, the greatest ever side ever. And you're like, they got 78 points, gents. Yep. It's not a lot of points. Liverpool, I'll have more than points than that comfortably this season. It's not like so, but you just go, well, United won the treble. Well, yeah, there's extenuating circumstances if you want to break things down and really go into it like that. So I look at Arsenal in '89 when they had to beat Liverpool by 2 clear goals to win the league. Liverpool stopped the season for COVID, didn't play any. Stopped the season for Hillsborough, didn't play any footy, and then had to catch up the season and play the game every 2-3 days.
Yep.
And by the way, won 7 games out of those 2-3 days on the bounce, and then got beat by a really good Arsenal side. But no one says that. You know what I mean? No. It's just like, because they just go, "Oh, Arsenal won the league in '89. That was it."
Yep.
So it's the same. You know what I mean? But there's extenuating circumstances around everything. I just feel like when it comes down to it, I really want this team, Tim, to prove me wrong in a little way. I want them to get 90 points this year, because 90 is like a big step for me if City come back. Do you get what I'm saying? If City come back, we know if we're in a battle with City, you got to get 90. It's at least 90 to win the league. And by the way, Liverpool have got 93 times and only won the league once. Right? So let's, you know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. 90 points feels like to me like, oh, this team can, okay, this is serious now. You've got 90. Arsenal have never got 90. That's why they've never won the league.
Yep.
Arsenal got 89 last year and never won the league. So I just feel like that is a big step for me. It really is a big step, and I'd love the team to do it. I don't know if they will, because they might just go on the piss after this weekend. And by the way, I've got no problem with that either. I've really got no problem with that either. But it would be nice just for them to see get 90, because I feel like then, Tim, we can go, if you get 90 again, you've got a really good chance of winning the league.
I mean, here's another thing. Like I say, like the Fulham game is the one that comes to mind. Even another game, I was just like, oh, let's see what happens, kind of a watch. I think if Liverpool go into that game knowing they have to win, you get a totally different Liverpool side playing that game. And, you know, the point total, I think, goes up because the team, let's face it, we're feeling that way. And these guys are human too. When it was against City, when it was those battles, everybody went into those games saying, we have to get 3 points. There is no other way. I think that mentality is totally different than just kind of like, when are we going to be title champions now? Like, just like looking at the watch, waiting for like the Uber, like the DoorDash to knock on the door is basically what it has become. And I think that's, I think Sir Z was saying it in the comments that, you know, we're winning the league without coming out of third gear. I really think this team would have done even better if somebody was pushing them. Or I guess, flip that on you, Kazi, and say, do you think that pressure would negatively impact it? The comforts almost has helped them.
I think it's helped them in terms of the style they want to play football. I think they took a lot of 1-0s and 2-0s and haven't really went probably gung-ho for it in terms of killing games off, where they can manage themselves and manage the body. But you're probably right in a sense that the comfort of not breaking 90, I don't know. I think there's very much experienced players in this who've done 90 points before. You know what I mean? Who've consistently done it and they know what it takes. And by the way, they still might think in their head, we need 90. Even after they win the league, they might still think we want to get 90 just to prove to ourselves that we can get 90. And prove to players like Szoboszlai and Gravenberch and go, hey, this is what it takes to get 90, at least. Yeah. And by the way, we've got 97 and never won the league once. So we know what we're going through. I know it's ridiculous when you say it out loud.
It's ridiculous, right? Yeah, every time you say it, it's just like, how the hell did that even happen?
97 points and then win the league.
I mean, we're at 79 right now with another 15 points to be had. I don't know how Slots will deal with the squad and stuff once the title is secured. I don't know how the guys will handle it once the title is secured. So I don't know. But out of the 15 points to be had, 11 does not seem unrealistic.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like it's, oh my, listen, there's tough fixtures. I will say that. There's tough fixtures. You've got Chelsea away. You've got Brighton away. You can, Palace could be interesting if they're in the FA Cup final, because they will roll out absolutely no one to Anfield on the last day and literally let us tickle their belly. And then, of course, you've got Arsenal. And Arsenal might have other fish to fry as well. So Liverpool can get 90.
Don't you think that's like a game where, like this weekend, they might be like, okay, no one cares anymore. Well, I guess they don't have a game, but you know what I mean? Whereas that game against Liverpool, isn't that something a guy like Arteta and the Arsenal team will take it as a point to be made and not, or will they be more like, you know what, we'll just rotate that way? Because, you go to that game. I think it's a big game for me. I don't know how you feel about that game, but you beat Arsenal. It's almost like putting the exclamation points on your like title win and saying like, you guys are nowhere near us, kind of. Not only points wise, but team wise.
Yeah, and that's a fair comment. I think if you're Arteta, if you do rotation, it gives you the automatic excuse on the way out.
Yes.
Like, oh, it doesn't matter anyway. We
Yeah,
rotated. It wasn't our full squad, and it gives you, and you can sell that to the players. And by the way, it might be the best thing to do because if you're all your starting 11 and get beat 3-0, and then you go, fucking hell, I've got to get these up for Champions League games.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And you
yep,
just not
exactly.
playing with the champions. How am I going to bounce these lads back next year? There is that part of the conversation as well. I think it's hard, this, Tim. I really do. How Liverpool are going to play this. I think if there's anyone, you look who's left. Like Mo Salah's chasing records. So Mo Salah will want his records. Like, let's get this right. He wants to do what I think
Yeah,
is one of the greatest achievements in
that's
Premier
really
League.
what I'm watching for.
Mate,
Like, I want him to get those numbers. I was hoping the Leicester game he would have gotten like 2 goals and an assist or something like that. So kind of was disappointed that he didn't get much out of that.
Oh, it's going to be like, do you remember the Palace game when we drew 3-3 in 13-14 and then we scored our third goal to go 3-0 and Suarez gets the ball up the net because of chasing goals? That's going to be Salah on the last day against that Palace side.
We're up 4-0. He's still
and they've rolled up the reserves. He's going to be pulling the ball out, bang on the spot. He's grabbing Darwin going, I'm 1 assist away from the record. You fucking don't let me down. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be a thing happening. But this team will also don't want to go out on a whimper and lose games either after the title is secured. But if Liverpool took their foot off the gas and wants to bring on Chiesa so we can get medals or whatever it is, and Endo to get more minutes than that, they deserve that. The one thing is that the players won't even go and ask the managers, like, hey, can I miss out this game? I've worked hard all year. Because there's no fucking, there's no thingy, is there? There's no summer tournament. There's no summer, so it's not like, hey, lads, Gravenberch, for example, can't walk up and go, I'm goosed here. Because I've been goose for 6 weeks. I am absolutely knackered. Any chance I've got Holland coming up in the summer with this big tournament, any chance I can miss one? Do you know what I mean? There's nothing like that where he can, so they might as well just play them out. So I don't know. I'm Mo Salah chasing for me one of the greatest records in Premier League history, which is the 20 goals, 20 assists record.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm really watching for, and that's one that I will be rooting for more because we said that about Arteta. I almost can see the same thing being done by Slot by doing a rotation instead of letting this team maybe, lower their guards, put the guard down after they win the title and, maybe lose game or lose some points needlessly and not look bad maybe, but look semi-unprofessional or whatever. Maybe doing a rotation to say, hey, you know what? We already won this. We're looking ahead to next year now. Might be a good way to go for Slot as well.
I'm at the stage with Van Dijk at least. If Van Dijk doesn't want to play because of his age and you're managing him for next year, okay, don't play. Like, who cares? Like, I'm at that stage. Who cares? If Van Dijk plays against...
Your summer tournament comments makes the difference there, though, because
of course,
you had a Euro or a World Cup coming, you can say Van Dijk saying, yeah, I wouldn't mind just doing 60s or something like that. Yeah. But now, man, we already got a long summer vacation.
I know.
I want to play.
There's maybe that part as well. I just think there's a part as well. If anyone's carrying any sort of knock, they're just not playing, are they? Like, you know what I mean? It's just, I've got a bit of a muscle tightness where you're out for 2 weeks. I should be fine a couple of days. You're out for 2 weeks, pal. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to play for, you fella. Do you know what I mean? So there's maybe that part as well. Again, I understand that Liverpool may not want to look unprofessional, as you say. But there's also a part where I can fucking forgive them. I can forgive them.
Yeah.
I remember they got battered by City 5-0 after the COVID, do you remember? And there's like, after we won the league, and they just pulled out, and we were just like, we don't even want to be here. And there's that famous thing where Trent's getting turned around in the line because Trent's facing the wrong way when they're meant to be taking it. And Trent's like, where the hell am I? Like, what? Why am I getting rolled out here? He's looking going, I've got Bernardo Silva doing 1-2s around me. Like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? And I just feel like I could forgive them, though, Tim, if the foot was taken off the gas slightly. I'm not going to lose my head if Liverpool lost to Chelsea. If they secure the league against Spurs, I'm not going to lose. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's.
But if you're Slot, don't you want to get ahead of that by giving time to those guys, maybe a bit more hungry, right? Like Elliott or somebody like that, or Chiesa, like you mentioned. We don't know what the deal is there, but he even talked about. He was asked about like the Nunez thing today, that the whole thing that he could get paid more and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think. It would be smart on Slot to give those guys. There's a guy like, you have Bradley who has to prove a point. I hate to say it. We've been seeing Costas on the left-hand side, which I'm not too thrilled to see, but you might see more of that maybe, like these guys who have a point to prove as opposed to these guys who are just kind of like, okay, when is the season over now?
Maybe. Maybe there is that as well. Again, I expect more rotation in the Chelsea game than I would do in the other games. And I'll tell you for why. If you win the league on Sunday, Robertson might look going, can I just have a few days with my family? Can I just go to Scotland and come back on Thursday? And Kostas gets minutes, as you've just said. There could be a part of that as well, where there's a respect element between players and the manager, of course, where I'm sure that even the manager, I can forgive them for taking the foot off the gas if the Liverpool not 100 miles an hour for the rest of the season. I can forgive that because you've earned the right to be that. You've earned the right.
Forgive that, but don't you want to do like what Kevin is saying, dude? Just keep beating people down
Of
to
course.
crush everything.
But what I'm saying, I would like prefer Liverpool to win every single game 5-0, of course. But what I'm saying is that if Liverpool aren't at it and lose to Chelsea, and they're not, oh my, I'm not going to fucking lose me rag over it. It's just like, okay, yeah.
The
intensity is not really there because there's nothing to be intense over anymore. These will be glorified pre-season friendlies, gents. I'm sorry whether you like it or not. That's what should be the intensity in certain parts of this game. Liverpool are not gaining more money by winning the football match. It's not like a thing like that. The money's guaranteed after you win the league. So I can understand it if the manager wants to throw in. If the manager, so let me ask you a question. If the manager shows up to Chelsea and the back four is Bradley, Kostas, Kwanzaa, and Kanate, would you be pissed?
Pissed? No. Bummed? Yes.
You got to watch Kostas for a while again.
Another 90 of Kostas. I don't know if I could stand, but I would not be pissed. No. I would understand it, especially if he's thinking. But doesn't this go back to, like, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks? Doesn't this manager, don't you think, already knows? He's not going to trot out Kostas over there, and Kostas is going to be let's say Kostas is a world beater the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think Slot already knows what he's getting Kostas.
I'm not saying entirely to him in terms of proving himself to stay at Liverpool or whatnot. I'm just saying going to Robbo, you've went 100 miles an hour this season. Hasn't been your best. We're going to pick and choose in the last 5. You're going to start 2 of the last 5. I might do you against fucking Palace at home, so you're on the pitch when we lifted the title. And I'll do it against Arsenal at home. There could be a lot of that chat. There could be a lot of Virgil going, do you want to go back to Holland for a few days and see the family? Yeah, I'd love to do that. Okay then, fuck off, because you've earned it. Do you know what I mean? So I just feel like there's a part where I think we're all going to have really high standards. I get that. But if he rolled up to Chelsea with Endo, Jones and Elliott as the centre mid, I'll be, so do whatever you like. Because you're entitled to do whatever you like. You've earned that.
See, Sergi says he would be upset. Sergi's always upset, but that doesn't matter. We know that the players. See, I think we already know the players we're keeping next.
He knows that. He made this decision. I said this yesterday. He made this decision in January.
Yeah, I think so.
He's made this decision.
You can see from the rotation, I think.
Literally by the players who he picks, he's made his decisions on the other players. Harvey Elliott, he doesn't want Endo. He can't be asked with Nunes and Jota.
You think Endo, by the way, he has changed his mind slightly on and saying, you know what, this is a good guy to have when I'm protecting the league.
With a year left, yes, I think he'll go.
And we're going to give him for in the off season. So
Endo has another 12 months on his contract, so we might just look and go, our drivers just keep Endo.
Yeah,
because you can just do me numbers. And Liverpool should have just done Tyler Morton and they had a chance for 20 million, but they never did. So that's where we're at. But I do think the certain player, he just can't be asked. He's literally last week, gents, in a game where Liverpool still chasing the league title. He started Luis Diaz up front and then had 2 strikers on the bench. That says all that you need to know about the 2 strikers, what he thinks of them. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like he's made this decision back in January.
He's like, I don't want to lose any more. We lost 2, man. Just
we're not saying, I want Liverpool to lose games. I'm saying if the intensity really isn't there, if the passing's slightly off, I'm not really that arse, gents, because they delivered on what they set out at the start of the season to do.
Yeah, it's hard to be like upset. I think you'd be like bummed and be like, oh man, kind of a thing. Yeah. But you're not gonna be like, throwing stuff around, saying like, God damn it, what the hell are we doing? I'm not gonna be saying it all.
If Liverpool beat Spurs, Tim, can you explain this to me? If Liverpool beat Spurs and then lose the other 4 league games, where do we finish again? Oh yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Still top. So why am I asked? It's been done. It's tied off. It's fine. And by the way, these people, and I love Sergi, of course, one of my friends. He's saying, maximum points, please. I don't want to lose any more games. If Liverpool had the Champions League semi-final, fella, you'll be rolling out me and you to play centre mid. So let's get this right. So hang on a second. Your game doesn't just choose like, I want maximum points, but unless Liverpool win a cup final. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, Kevin said, honestly, I I would pencil in, especially if Palace is not in the final, as a loss that
Oh, it's a
game.
tough game.
Basically, it's just going to be like, when are we starting
Yeah.
the party is more than anything else. So I can definitely see a loss at that game where Crystal Palace goes out there to actually play. We go out there to party, but it's almost like you have to set the table up first and like play Palace.
If Palace are not in the final, it'll be a tough game. That's what I'm getting at. I agree with you there. If they're not in the final, it'll be a tough game.
Yeah.
But I just think they will be in the final. I have a weird feeling that they're just going to be Villa.
Who are they playing?
Villa.
That's a good game, actually.
That's a really good game. I know.
I don't know. Well, the World Cup thing, I don't know. I think
We're not selling Endo on the Japan
what he knows now, he would have gotten more minutes along the way for Endo. Like, he would have come in on that Everton game. He would have come in on a couple of other games. I think if Slot knows what he knows now about him, I think he would. Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, is it gonna make a big difference? Like, yeah, like you were saying, Kazi, we would love to go out there and just smash everybody. It would be fun and it would be great. But I'm not gonna be mad if it doesn't happen, and I'm not gonna be upset if I know Elliott goes out there and gets his minutes, and like Chiesa goes out there and gets his minutes. I'd be more happy with that, I think, than trotting out the same thing and winning like 1-0 or something like that.
The Endo thing, by the way, I'm mentioning the Endo comment first. Liverpool might not sell him because we are going to Japan on a pre-season tour. Yeah. And I will promise you on that pre-season tour, he'll start every single damn game. So, like, they've come to see Endo. So there's that part. The other part of, like, the one game a week and not... It's a bit like getting a hole-in-one in golf and then doubling the next hole. Getting a double bogey on the next hole. It's a bit like, yeah, but you got a double bogey, but I don't care. I got a hole-in-one, lad. I don't care what I do for the rest of this golf round. I've got a hole-in-one. Like, you've done it. You've completed it. Like, you've literally completed the whole season. Like, you've won the Premier League. You're entitled to do whatever you like. These lads are entitled to take as many weeks off as they like. If Virgil van Dijk goes to the manager on Monday and goes, I want to get out of here for 2 weeks and go to the family and I'll be back for Arsenal. Have a good day, fella. You've earned it. Smack him on the arse and let him go. But I don't think the lads are like that anyway. But if they want
the weird thing is I have no, like, feeling because we don't know slots, like, which way he will go. Once it's determined, like, I have no idea how it will go.
Haven't you felt like this with Fenerbahce before? Because I'm sure Fenerbahce have dominated the league.
Oh yeah.
And you must have just went, I don't even care after we win this what happens, unless it's Galatasaray or Besiktas. I get that. But if you're just playing, I don't know, fucking Antalyaspor or something like that, are you asked? Do you care?
Not really, but I'll be honest, like, especially, I mean, those days, back then. And even now, I think now is different. Sadly, they haven't won the title in quite some time in the last 5 years or whatever. But I think growing up, the squads were never this deep, Kazi.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you guys had guys on the bench and you were like, I would love to see more of him. No, I mean, it was like 14 guys anyway, right? So, so I think it wasn't as much of that. So I think you didn't want to go out there and smash everybody all the time while you had a good team that was killing everybody. I feel like that's different now. Like, if it happened now, I would say, yeah, just give that kid a chance. Let that kid play, let this guy play and stuff like that. I don't think we had, like, you had that maybe a decade ago. You didn't have squads this deep. You didn't have your wife playing every goddamn 2 days.
I think the 5 subs has changed it on a little bit. The 5 subs,
that
helps as well. I think there's a part of this where Liverpool, by the way, when we're saying give these players minutes, we're giving like international footballers who played millions of pounds for minutes. It's not like you're giving some lads from the kids to get a game. It's like, oh no, we're giving Darwin Núñez a game.
Out there, you're like, let the guy play.
We're giving Diogo Jota the game on Darwin Núñez and Chiesa and Harvey Elliott, who we think I've got a really high ceiling. So we're giving international football players minutes. It's not like, you know what I mean? All I'm saying is, again,
do you think it affects their value though? Like, when you name a guy like Jota and Núñez, guys we've discussed about, maybe moving in the offseason, do you think it affects their value, good or bad? I mean, I guess it could be bad too, but
of course. But then there's a part if you go to them, well, if you play well, you get a better club. If you go out and score fucking 4 or 5 goals in the last 5 games, and we're looking to sell you, then you get a better club. You might get someone else bigger coming in for you and taking a chance on you. So it's always swings and roundabouts, doesn't it? But I just think with Darwin, especially, I just think his value is kind of guaranteed of what you're going to pay for him because of all his ability. It hasn't worked out at Liverpool, but it doesn't mean he can't go on to be a good striker for another team. And again, Tim, I say this all the time. What do strikers cost? I genuinely, what does a starting number 9 cost in all the Premier League? So let me go with like Liam Delap. They signed him for 20 million. Ipswich about to get relegated. I think he has a bio clause for like 35 million or something, and that's for the relegated striker. He scored 10 or 12 goals or something in the Premier League. So goals are key in the Premier League. I think this is definitely a conversation to have around Jota in terms of Wolves. If Wolves get 62 million for Kuna, do they just want to take him back for 50 million and just do Jota? Maybe. That's all I think.
Yesterday was he was going to United.
Who, Kuna?
Cunha, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That's what I'm saying. If Kuna goes to United for 62, do they just go, we got 62 million for a striker, do we just bring Jota back if he wants to come back?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And just and have a lovely time
Make
with Jota.
Money and replace him kind of sort of with get a goal, like proven goal scorer.
Exactly. So I just think value's already kind of especially for strikers. I think strikers' value is already, the striker value holds a lot more because what they can deliver than a defender. And I'll tell you why, because you're taking a chance on a striker, let's say, can score goals, can change your whole season, can change your whole outbeing, because scoring goals is literally the currency of football. And that's why the number 90 are the most expensive. And I think value holds the number 9s anyway. Let's have a look. If Liverpool look at their 5 strikers, Liverpool will get over 50 to 60 million for each of them if they want to sell them. Like that's how that's how high I rate Gakpo and Diaz and whatever it is, whatever I think about Diaz.
Strikers, I think people understand. Well, I don't know about people. Scouts and teams in general, the professionals understand that you can have like different form levels, but the quality is a constant on a player. So just because they scored 4 on the bounce, suddenly they're not worth 30 million more, because I think people understand that you have a certain quality. You might be rolling for like 2 weeks and everything, or like 2 months, everything you touch goes in, and then you might have a month where everything hits the post and you're never you're like a second late or everything. I think scouts and teams understand that, but they know there's a certain quality which dictates a certain price, so maybe form doesn't impact it as much as it would for like a defender or somebody like that.
Yes, I think I do agree with that. I think it's more the fact of teams are struggling for goals all the time. They struggle for goals. A lot of teams struggle for goals. So when you have someone where you go, hey, Jota can get you 20, do we just take a chance? Yeah. Teams are more inclined to take a chance on a striker than they would a right back.
True.
The more chance.
That's what I mean, though, because you go on based on potential quality than anything else.
Exactly, and this is the point really of that in that sense. And that's why I think like Jota and Diaz and Nunes, their value will always hold worth. They will always hold the worth. Because especially with someone like Darwin, you look and go, well, do we convert? Yeah, thanks, Sean. Do we convert those chances that he gets? Do we convert them? And I don't think you do. But do we convert them? Is that the argument? Is that the conversation that they have? Do you know what I mean? You see strikers later on in their career still going for big money. So let me give you an example. Ollie Watkins is 29. And Arsenal suppose he got offered him for 60 million. Literally, Villa trying to sell a 29-year-old for 60 million. Literally, he's 29. Fulkrug went to West Ham at 31 for 30 odd million.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? There's strikers do that to teams. Strikers do that in terms of they make them go, well, if we just get that one season on him, he gets his 18 goals, gets us into Europe. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the dream, and that's why Delap's going to command such a big fee for the bottom 12, especially if you're the bottom 12. If you actually have a look at the bottom 12, there's not many goal scorers, and that's why Delap looks like such a big grab for teams. Do you know what I mean? Because you go, he's only a young kid. If he doesn't work out, he spent 35 million on him and he scores 6 goals, we'll still get 25, and all that runs through your head as well. Do you know what I mean? It's so weird with strikers. I always think that makes it how much they hold the value. Because
if you have a guy like that, look at Chris Wood, for example. Take Chris Wood out of Forest. I can do that with a lot of teams, I guess. But if you have a guy who's constantly getting you goals and getting you 3 points here, 3 points there with those goals, I mean, that's like golden. You can't like freaking discredit that. So you gotta roll the dice on that. I think it's a risk that's bound to pay a lot more if it hits. Like it's a lower risk, I guess, in some ways, because if it hits, then you're gonna really bank. You can get a right back, and like he could be the greatest right back in the world. Doesn't necessarily guarantee you 3 points. But if you have a striker who can finish, and that's almost like guaranteed points for you in the bigger sense. So I think that's why it's worth more to take that risk.
Well, if you look at like in terms of guaranteed points and goals, that's why Liverpool are paying Mo Salah 400 grand a week at 33
Yeah.
because he doesn't know he's guaranteed goals, and then we can work from that. We can work from getting sick. That's why Lukaku's always demanded such a high price. I always think about Lukaku a lot with like the Lukaku factor of what he is as a football player. Because Lukaku's argument is I'll beat the bottom 10 twice.
Yeah.
I've said this all the time. Well, there's 60 points. Can you get the other lads to go and get us 30?
Yeah.
I'll still
It's guaranteed points. Yep.
If you and then there's 90, then we can all count the chips up at the end and see where we're at after 90. I look at Palace, for example, because I know Kevin's in the chat. That's what I want to. Mateta's an interesting one. He's 27, Mateta. And if you actually look, if you're Arsenal, you could go far wrong and not get a Mateta. But Arsenal, Palace should demand 100 million. Because he's worth 100 million to us. Not what he's worth to you. He's worth that to us just to stay in this league. Because we get 100 odd million just for staying in the damn league. Never mind, he might score 20 goals for us next year and we get into Europe and we get all the riches of Europe, by the way. Because I think Mateta's that good. I really like him. That's what strikers demand. Like, literally, that's what they demand. I said this yesterday on the Thursday show. The team who's 17th in this league is West Ham. They have a Champions League front three. And they're 17th. Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudus are by far and away a Champions League front three. And they're 17th in the Premier League. That is absolutely fucking wild.
I think that's another thing, by the way. I mean, they talk about, I think everybody looks at the big six and says the league is down. No, the big six is down. I think the league is still, like, there's so much quality in the league that, every team has a couple of guys that you can kind of grab. And, you're like, man, I wish we had that. Yes, we could use a guy like that and stuff like that. That wasn't the case 10 years ago. Like, you could look at the bottom of the league and you'd be like, him maybe on the bench. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a lot of guys that you would free. I think you can look at any squad right now in the Premier League, and there's 2 to 3 players. Definitely 1 to 2 you will love to have, but 2 to 3 you can be like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having that guy coming off the bench and stuff like that. So I feel like the league overall is a lot better. It's just the big six.
I agree with big six. I've said this, Tim, for a while. The league right now, as it stands, forget the bottom three. There's 17 Premier League clubs and there's 3 Championship clubs who just play in the same league.
Yeah, and I think that's how it's going to go. It's feeling like, right?
It is what it is. Again, I said something very controversial for Room 433 yesterday, so you'll have to go and watch it. Regarding my Room 433 option was relegation as it stands. Right, we'll get into that later. But if you actually look into as it stands, I'm not getting into the relegation, but as it stands, the 17 clubs, every single player has a Champions League player in it. That never happened when I was a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, I just mentioned West Ham with the front three. Spurs, many Champions League players. I think Solanke's definitely up there anyway, and Maddison and players like that. Wolves have Kuna. It's just as good. United have got good players. I'm not here to, dig on United, whatever it is. But they got Lenny Yoro and players like that who people clearly rate. Everton are garbage, but they got Jared Brantwaite. They got England's number 1.
Yeah.
Palace, I would argue that Palace probably have 3 or 4 even good, quality Champions League players. I'm on the same plane for Real Madrid, by the way. I'm just saying playing in the Champions League for a certain, for example, Tim, you're a Fenerbahce fan. You sometimes get into the Champions League or the Europa League every single year at least. If you lads had Adam Wharton playing midfield, you go, fuck me, he's unbelievable. And if you played against, I look at Adam Wharton, great example actually. If you played against him in the Champions League and you go, he's the best player in the world. Where is he? Yeah. If you played against a no one like Girona, like we played this year in the Champions League, you've never seen him play before, and Adam Wharton was playing centre mid, you go, he's the best midfielder in the league, and it's not even close.
Yes.
That's what you think to yourself. You've never seen him. That's what you think to yourself. But when you actually go for the whole of the league, they all are Champions League quality players anymore. So this thing, by the way, and I want to engage the chat here a little bit. Don't engage with the fact that people online on social media who say this is a weak league. It's the complete opposite. It's a very strong league. Apart from the bottom 3, everyone else is boss. Everyone else is
more even league than it's not lopsided like it was.
No, I think it's more even. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot more evened out. And the perfect argument for this is Man United versus Spurs could be the Europa League final, and they're both crap.
Yeah.
And they've beaten everyone else in the second tier of Europe.
Yes.
And they're garbage. United have won 10 games of footy, I'm checking, and Spurs have won 11. So this thing of like the league's weak, it's incorrect. It's incorrect. The league is strong as it's ever been, Tim. Ever been. And the reason being, yes, they've all got good players. The reason why they're keeping the good players because the Premier League money's going up and up and up, they can afford to pay them the good wages.
Yes.
So Newcastle can now demand 100 million for Isak. It wasn't like back in the 90s when Man United just went, well, we fancy that Andy Cole lad because he looks all right, and they just go and sign the best player.
Yeah.
In the Premier League at the time, we'll just sign Andy Cole. It's not like that anymore.
And I think for the good players, they are able to get similar wages and guaranteed a start, as opposed to in the past, you're like, if I want that money, might sit on the bench, but shit, I got to take the money kind of a thing. Whereas now you can still get the money and be a regular starter in the Premier League and maybe look for the next move and stuff like that. So yes, money changes everything. But I mean, yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I think the league is a lot better. What's down is the top 6, and maybe they're down. I mean, they're crap, like you're saying, like Spurs and like United and stuff. But that's partially because they're going against teams that, every team has players that can hurt you. So they're going against these teams. It's not like before where you are the only one who had guys who can hurt you and change the game. Both sides now have players who can kind of like win the points for you. Even if they're not playing well, they can win the points for you. That was not the case before. Like it would be a shit game, but because you had the Mo Salah, you had the guy who can finish like Jota, you won the game. Whereas now, well, they might not have Mo Salah, but they have a guy there too that can kind of change the game and win points.
This is exactly the point. Like West Ham with that front three, or 17th again, I keep saying it, but Kudus would be the best player in the league in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It wouldn't be close. You think he was an alien? You'd show him go. If you should show him from Mars to come here and play footy, like that's the level of the league right now. That's the level. And again, they're sitting 17th in the league and they've won 9 games all season. Yeah. That is a joke. Here's how big the gap has got, Tim. Usually, when we were growing up, especially with the league, and I know there's new fans to the Premier League as well that listen to the podcast. That's why I want to explain it. The bottom 6 who will go down would be quite tight. But also, the teams who stayed up we would know they're in a relegation fight again next year.
Yeah.
We would know. I'm telling you right now, West Ham, Spurs, and United would not be in a relegation fight next year.
Yeah.
Because they just had an off season. That's how big the gap is in the league. The gap is massive. And that's why I'm trying to, change the whole world of football and get rid of relegation as it stands. Because it just doesn't.
Oh, you're becoming American, baby.
I believe in relegation for my friends here, right? My argument, Tim, of changing football, right? Hear me out. You've got to win 10 games in the league or you get relegated. Now, hear me out. I've had enough of these bum teams coming up and winning 2 games of footy and getting relegated again. I'm not even trying to stay in the league. Giving them 150 million and then parachute payments just to be garbage. And I've had enough of it. If you can't come up and try and win footy matches, I don't want you in the league. I don't want to look at you. So the argument is, if 6 teams don't win 10, 6 to go down, give me 6 from the Championship who want to try and win 10 games of footy in the Premier League, please. Because you don't deserve the dough. You don't deserve the money. Tim, what have we got to do though, Tim? I know you're laughing, right? I know it's an outlandish thing that I'm saying here. What are we going to do to close this bridge of gap that we've got between the Championship and the Premier League? Because the gap is so large, it's embarrassing. We need to do something drastic. But what I'm saying is, I'd rather have Sunderland come up, or Middlesbrough, or Blackburn, Coventry, and try and win 10 games of footy in the Premier League. I'm not asking for a lot.
You're kind of setting him up at the same time to have a team that's conceding like 120 goals because they're like, we gotta win, and then they're gonna play open all the time. So you're not gonna have the Burnleys of the world.
Okay. When was the last time you watched Southampton for 90 minutes, apart from a Liverpool game? You haven't, because you're not asked. Yeah. You don't care. Tim, at least it's an entertaining damn game of football. I've had enough of these bum sides coming up and just taking the dough, going back down and rebuilding. Next year, I get to see Leeds again. Leeds might have a go. Leeds might have a go. Now, the 40 points argument...
I'm bigger on this.
Now, the 40 points argument here is right. You'll have about 10 teams going down, won't you? Right? That's the issue that you might have. But winning 10 games, because I don't want teams, when they go 40 points, to come up and win 7 and go, we'll just draw the rest. We'll just try and play for draws. I need you to know there's a target of winning. You need to win to get 150 million.
I like that.
You've got to win. You've got to deserve. You've got to win games. You can't just come up and just go, we'll win 4 games and draw 30. Like, that's not fucking right. Like, no, you've got
But
to
you
come
like,
and
I
go.
mean, when you have to have 40 points, you gotta figure that team is going to say, we gotta win 10
Of course, but my
to
argument
get
is
to
though,
30 and then 10 draws.
you're not going to get a team winning 10 and losing 28. It's
Yeah.
never that would never happen. Let's be frank here. But there is a part where you've got to go, I want you to come up and try and show me that you can win games. Because there's teams in the Championship who might come up and try and give it a better go. But you Leeds and you Burnley are coming back up. Especially Burnley, by the way, the most offensive side of all time, coming back up. You're showing me that you just took the parachute, though. Kept your squad together, win the Championship, come back to the Premier League, take another 150 million, go back down for 3 years of parachute payments, and we're all happy as Larry. That's not fucking right, either. Come up here and try and win games of footy for me. Like, literally, Everton have won 8 games this year. West Ham have won 9. What I'm getting at is with the winning 10 games, by the way, only about 5 teams a year win less than 10. Only about 5 or 6 win less than 10.
Right now, we're gonna have to pull somebody. You made a good. Well, you know what? We're not gonna have a lot to talk about the last 4 weeks, so we'll
break it down with the stats of the last few years, because the teams who have come up, by the way, and have really given a good effort is Forest. Forest cheated to do it, but still Forest did it, and now look where Forest are, because they tried to win footy matches. And look what happens when you try and win footy matches. Sometimes you win footy matches when you try and win them. Sometimes you do just win some.
I think it will force teams to take that risk. I think right now, because it is a risk, because then if you do come up and buy the players to close that gap from the Championship to the Premier League, and if you do not hit on those buys, then that can be kind of painful, because the parachute doesn't always save you, but it will force you to take that risk.
Tim, Leeds came up. They signed Rutter for 40 million. Good play, by the way, at Brighton right now. But Rutter, Brendan Aronson for 30 odd million. They took Tyler Adams. They signed Willie Notto, but he was cheap. They did another big, massive sign. I can't remember. They got relegated. They stayed in the league a year, got relegated. And then they're doing like Ethan Ampadu for 8 million. I'm like, so you can do clever signings in the Championship.
Yeah.
Or you come to the Premier League and lose your minds.
Like, I think it's because they feel like if it becomes, well, like, you know, people who kind of like rip on Liverpool's transfer thing all the time. Like, you don't have to spend big just to get a good guy. If you could be smart and get a guy that's like useful. But I think when you come to the Premier League, the fans are like, all right, so who are we spending the money on? If you got that $8 million guy, when you come to the Premier League, you're like, you guys are buying Championship players. We're in the big leagues now, is what happens. So I think there's a lot of fan pressure to spend money that you got in.
And I get that. But there's also a part where, again, the spending the money part is a thing. But again, I think football fans are knowledgeable enough to go, I understand what we're doing as well. I think a lot of footy fans will go, we didn't spend the money. But if you sign 6 players, I think a lot of footy fans will go, well, let's just see what happens. It's not like you haven't signed anyone. But you're getting teams coming up and just sticking. Basically sticking with the Championship squad. And you're going, because they know they're going down. They know Southampton knew they were going down as soon as they came up. I was fuming when they beat Leeds in the playoff final last year. I was livid because I thought Leeds might just come up, and it's a big club. It's Ellen Road.
Yeah,
gives me something. They might not stay in the league, but my God, they'll have a goal. They'll have a goal of staying in the league. The gap is so large, Tim. It's a joke. Something has to drastically change in the next couple of years in the Premier League because it's no longer the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't think it can like
look at the bottom 5.
Like what it's an automatic. So you have like 16 fixture teams.
Look at the bottom 6. Look at the bottom 6. There's 3 Championship sides who are going down. There's West Ham, Spurs, and Wolves. They're never going down.
Yeah,
they're too good. Wolves are too. Wolves for the. This is another for the argument of the teams who says this league's weak. By the way, it's a poor league. Wolves literally have the 2 midfielders who might start for Brazil.
Yeah.
They might start a fucking international football game for Brazil and they play for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Think about that for a second. In my head, when I was a kid team, the Brazil starting centre midfield, I honestly was just like fucking the Monstars from Space Jam. Literally play for Wolves, gents. Kuna gets minutes for Wolves. For Brazil, from Wolves.
Yeah.
This is what we're getting at. And like, that's how something drastic has to change in footy. It really does, because this league isn't right.
We have all like the end of the season to save the league and everything like that going on. So real quick, tomorrow we're not expecting any changes, right? Regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of squad. Do you
Oh
want? Do
yeah.
you think Robertson comes back finally, and I'll be happy when I see the 11, or are we sticking with Costas?
I think he's going to do Bradley. I think he'll do Bradley. I think he might do
Konate,
Robertson,
Van Dijk,
Van Dijk, Kanate, Robertson. I think his,
Robertson. Okay,
I think his midfield three is going to be his midfield three.
okay.
I think he's going to stick with Diaz up front. I think he's going to stick with Diaz doing the striker role with Gakpo on the left. And I tell you why, I just think with Spurs' high line, Liverpool haven't got pace in the side. Liverpool don't have raw pace. We don't have like a Doku player, do we? Who's
Yeah,
just raw pace.
I
We
think
don't
Diaz
have
is the closest we get to it.
And even now, I think since he come back from his injury, he looks like he's lost a yard of pace. Still very good, but it looks like he's lost a yard of that raw appeal. Remember when he first came in and we was just like, wow, what is that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the injuries have kind of took its toll. But I just think with Spurs' high line, we need a bit more pace in behind, and I think that's what Diaz will offer him. So I think that's what he'll do.
I think so too. I think we go with the same lineup. Robertson coming in for Costas, and we'll be here. We'll announce it. Might do a watch along, but I worry that we'll just freaking jinx and
I won't
destroy
be here, fella.
the only watch along that we do kind of thing. But we'll definitely be here for the post match and hopefully celebrations and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, great. As Adriano says, great stream chat today. Thanks for all joining in. Hit that thumbs up. Do the subscribing, the bell notification, although hit everything except the thumbs down over there, and tell a friend, as I always say, grab him by the ear and drag him over here. But we'll be back Sunday, obviously, for the pre-match once the lineup comes up, and we'll see you guys then. Take care.